Hey, welcome. So today I thought I'd give a try to doing some live streaming, or rather live recording and then uploading while I make some changes in Axel. So what I'm working on at the moment, and I can see that the video is a bit delayed and also Axel is a bit laggy due to the screen recording. Hopefully that won't be too disruptive. Um, but anyway, what I've been working on lately for the past month or so is re-implementing Axel's window manager, basically the whole desktop environment that you see here from the old implementation, which was written in C, to a cool new implementation that's written in Rust. That has all the same functionality. So yeah, it's just a port of the code base from C to Rust. Um, or rather, more a port of the functionality and kind of logic. So what I thought we would work on today, last night, what I did was I'm working on getting these desktop shortcuts working in the new window manager the same way they did in the old window manager. So what I did last night is I made it so, they kind of update when they have this border around them, and then when you click on them, they're highlighted. I haven't made it yet, so when you double click them, they launch. And maybe we'll do that today. But the main thing I wanted to do today is make it so you can drag these to other parts of the desktop. Um, so just to give you a sense of kind of what we're going towards, I'm going to boot up the old window manager so you can see how this functionality works. So I'm going to exit full screen. And now we have this. This is a configuration file in Axel, and Axel will boot every program. When it boots, rather, it'll launch every program that's listed in this file. So the new window manager is called Axel Window Manager 2. And then if I want to go back to the old C implementation, I just use Axel Window Manager 1. So I'm going to rebuild the OS and launch it. And then we'll have a look at this dragging functionality that we're going to be re-implementing. OS distributions currently take about 30 seconds from when you kick them off, 30 seconds from when you kick them off to when Axel is finished booting. So I'd like to improve the feedback loop even more, but already I'm, trying to cut down work as much as I can. Yeah, wow, it's very laggy due to this screen recording, but anyway, that's okay. So this is the old window manager, and again, it's one of those things where if it looks pretty much identical, that means I'm doing my job right with the new one. So you can see, same idea. You can click these, and then this one you can double click them, and it'll launch the underlying program. Uh, and then we can drag these. And what you'll notice is these kind of snap to grid slots. So we're going to be implementing both the dragging and the snapping animation. And you can see this is one of the problems with the old window manager that I could have just fixed in C, but I was like, let's do it in Rust. Is this will leave some artifacts on the screen that the compositor, forgets to clean up. And you can clean those up just by kind of wiggling the mouse over them, which will force the compositor to redraw those pixels. Anyway, let's go back to the to the new window manager, Axel Window Manager 2. And dive into the code. So I've never done one of these live coding sessions before, and I haven't really done any preparation, but we'll give it a try and see how it goes. Um, so let's see. I guess I'll let this boot, and we can just compare to the new window manager once again. Cool. All right. So one thing that's really nice about the new window manager implementation in Rust is that in the old C version, there was so many kind of flags all over the place of like, is a window being dragged? Is the mouse hovering over a Windows title bar? Is the mouse hovering over a desktop shortcut? Is the mouse in the middle of a drag? Are we in the middle of resizing a window? Just all these Boolean flags, some of them, mutually contradictory. Um, and one thing that's really nice about the Rust implementation is with like exhaustive pattern matching, et cetera, algebraic types, it's a lot easier to kind of more sanely keep the state consistent. So the key kind of piece that I'm going to be touching to start off with here is this bit. Right, so it's called mouse interaction state, and it's actually not in this file. It's over here. And this kind of holds, all of the whatever state the mouse is in. So we've got, hovering over the background, a bunch of different window states, and then this kind of generic desktop element hover that I added last night. So the idea is windows are a desktop element. They conform to this desktop element trait. But we have a lot of specialized handling for windows. And this is kind of a more like quote unquote generic desktop element, where one example is a shortcut, and another might be, I don't know, some kind of widget sitting on the desktop that's not a window. Um, and you can track when this is being covered. So what we'll also want to do is track when a desktop element is being dragged. But actually, I was thinking about this a little bit before, and I think we can't use this generic desktop element. I think we need something specific for shortcuts because we'll need to snap a shortcut to a grid slot. And that's going to take a lot of like shortcut machinery rather than just generic desktop element machinery. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove this desktop element hover thing and replace it with a shortcut hover. And so I can remove this comment. And then while we're at it, we can also add a shortcut drag state. And now we'll just go through all the usages of mouse interaction state and update them. My MacBook is pretty laggy as I'm trying to do this, so I'm not sure how much of this I'll be able to do effectively, but it's a fun experiment nonetheless. Okay, so this bit of code is, yeah, it's just an implementation of equals for the mouse interaction state. Go ahead and do the same for drag. The reason why there's an implementation for equals is like, say there's been a mouse update, like the mouse has moved or, whatever, it's been clicked. We want to check whether we need to transition to another state so we can avoid doing extra work if we're in the same state. So we need to be able to compare two of these. And pointer equals. And then if it's not the same kind, it's just false. That looks good. And then there's a bunch of usages of mouse interaction state in the core kind of desktop implementation. So let's go ahead and look through those and see what we need to update. So this will be the mouse color during each of these states. So for shortcut hovers, I made it a light gray, and then maybe we'll make it a dark gray while it's being dragged. Okay, no changes needed there. So mouse interaction state for mouse state. This, computes what the interaction state is based on what the mouse is doing. So let's see, is there anything we need to update here? Yeah, here we go. Note that we're excluding the normal Z Windows index from the search. So we're checking, okay, so this wasn't a window under the mouse. Is it a generic desktop element? But we don't really want to do this anymore. We want to instead, stop using generic desktop elements for this and start using something specific for shortcuts. So let's say instead, shortcut under mouse. And then rather than, trying to figure out what element it is in a category of Z indexes, maybe we'll come up with something new that lets us say, okay, give me all the desktop element, only look in the desktop elements that are shortcuts. So we'll go ahead and change this to something like desktop element of type containing point. And we'll maybe call that an element type. And we'll need a new trait here, trait function, I guess. Type equals the element type that's being searched for. So this will give the first desktop element in the hierarchy of the given, type. Um, and we need to go ahead and define this. So right now we've got two types. We've got windows, including the dock. The dock is just a normal window with a few special flags on it. So we've got windows, and we've got shortcuts. All right, let's go back to what we were doing a moment ago. And we can remove this comment. Desktop element of type containing point. Give it the mouse state, the mouse position rather. And we'll say we're specifically looking for shortcuts. So if there is a shortcut under the mouse, then we're going to set the mouse interaction state to shortcut hover. And maybe we should also set shortcut drag here based on whether we're in a left click. So what are we doing for window drags? So if it's within the title bar and we're allowed to transition to a drag, and maybe this checks whether there's a left click down. Yeah, it does. Okay, and this will also check were we already in a drag. So maybe let's do something similar because I'm sure I had a good reason. Yeah, because we don't want to, do the work of saying, okay, we're in a drag now if we were already in a drag. Um, so can transition to shortcut drag, and this will be a shortcut under the mouse. Okay, so if we are in the shortcut hover state, and the shortcut under the mouse is the same one that was previously being hovered, and the mouse is down, then we can transition to it, and otherwise we can't. Okay, so one more thing here. In the mouse interaction state, I need to make sure that this is holding a desktop shortcut specifically, so we can use its functionality rather than a generic desktop element. Cool, that looks good. Let's go back to where we were. Shortcut under mouse. Yeah, you can see my, oh, did I not? Yeah, okay. So this probably does need to be specifically for shortcuts. No, that doesn't really work. It's because you can't really upcast. So let's just say, I can maybe even get rid of this, but I think it'll be useful, so I'm going to keep it. So I'm just going to say shortcut containing point. And we can still look through desktop element type, shortcut. Okay, that should be fine. I think there's a more direct way to do this. Because we have a list of all the shortcuts where we don't need to search. Well, let's see if we can do that. Shortcut state. And then do we have a list of all the shortcuts? Oh, that's actually not exposed. Seems good. Why not? Ah, but this is not going to give us a shortcut, is it? And we shouldn't upcast. I mean, maybe it would be fine with the generic desktop element type here, rather than needing it to be upcasted to a shortcut. I'm not actually sure. Well, I I've never really kind of coded live like this before, but maybe let's just go ahead and expose the shortcuts for now, um, just so we're making some progress. Okay, so there's something called shortcut state. Yeah, we're in it. Cool. So these are all the slots, and then maybe we'll have another um, field for the extant shortcuts. So there's a bunch of slots on the desktop, but a slot, may or may not actually contain a shortcut at the moment. Okay. Also, we're going to need this to be public because the desktop needs to be able to search through it to see if a given shortcut is bounding the mouse at the moment. Add shortcut to slot. Actually, maybe this should be when we instantiate the shortcut. Oh, it's here. Okay, cool. And I don't know whether there's going to be any issues making this mutable. We'll give it a try, and if not, we can always use a ref cell. And do the same for the other constructor. Right, so this needs to be reference counted. Oh, sorry, this is the generic constructor, so we don't need to do this anywhere else, which is cool. But I will need to update self to be mutable over here. All right. Again, hopefully there won't be any issues with that. Let's just check the callers. Don't know why JetBrains is saying no usages, because it's definitely... Oh, it's because it's in a CFG block that is only targeting Axel, and CLion doesn't see that we are targeting Axel, which is a little bit annoying because it makes all this code grayed out and disables some IntelliSense, but what can you do? Okay, so it's already mutable here. That's awesome. We have nothing else to do then. So let's go back. Shortcut under mouse. Shortcut containing point. And we can get rid of that argument. And then in the implementation of that, we are not going to be searching through all the desktop elements because we need it to be, the right type. So we're instead going to search through the extant shortcuts directly. And we do need find map because we need to bump the reference count. And that should be called something like S. And note that we just, pull the first one because, well, actually, in this case, the sort order doesn't matter. But with the windows, it's a nice trick because the insertion order of or rather the sort order of the vector they're stored in represents the Z index, the Z hierarchy on the desktop. In this case, it doesn't apply because shortcuts don't, they're not really in a Z index. There's just a flat layout. But maybe when a shortcut is being dragged, we actually want it to render on top of any other shortcut. We'll have to see how that looks and how it works, and maybe have a fix to do there. Get rid of that. Okay, great. Shortcut under mouse. And then we'll need to do the same for the new drag state. So actually that'll just be in here. We'll check if we can transition to the drag state. Can transition to shortcut drag. Then we'll set the drag state. And otherwise we'll set the hover state. All right, let's move on to the next call site. Okay, so left click ended handling. That's a shortcut. Maybe we'll leave that alone for now. And here we'll probably want to, for the drag state, once left click ends, we'll probably want to exit the drag. Yeah, so let it handle the left click ended. And then is this an appropriate place? Oh yeah, so we're doing the same thing. So performing window drag and then the left click ends. And we're gonna set it, in this case, it's hinting window drag, but we'll just set it to the hover state for shortcuts. And shortcut hover. Cool. All right. So this method is pretty brain intensive. Um, it's trying to decide, based on the state we were in and based on the state we're going to, should we, inform various events? Like the mouse has just entered a window or exited it. Um, so let's see, desktop element hover. So if the old and new shortcuts are different, we will need to inform the old one. Exited shortcut. And it looks like we should also send a mouse entered event here. I don't know where the mouse entered event happens. Maybe it's just down here. Yeah, handle mouse entered. I don't know why we don't do it up there. I'll have to have another look, but I'm wary of, just, um, I guess I'm wary of being a bit boring. Let's continue for now. Oops, that should be shortcut hover. Yeah, this does look totally equivalent. Um, so I think I am just going to combine this with the implementation above. And this recompute drawable regions is what kind of asks the compositor to push any pixels in that rectangle to the display. This is if, the shortcut has done something in response to the mouse entering it, and it needs to be redrawn. I added this last night when I was adding the hover states. And then do we need to, oh yeah, so in this transition, once we've kind of finished a drag, we'll need to do something to snap the shortcut to a grid slot. For now, we'll just log it. Whoops, I don't want that. And we'll just log the name. Hmm, that was weird. I guess it was catching up. And I just want to check, do we need to send like a left click ended event here? I don't see any other callers doing it. I don't remember, of course. Seems fine. This is sent elsewhere. All right, let's move on. Actually, there might be one more. Nope, looks good. So if we're transitioning into a window, so if the new state is any of these, and then the old state was anything shortcut related, then it definitely transitioned into a new window. Um, or mouse interaction state shortcut drag. Okay, handle mouse moved. So for a desktop element, we're just sending a callback. That's no big deal. We'll just update that. Shortcut hover. But this is where it gets interesting because for a shortcut drag, we're actually going to want to, change the position of the shortcut when the mouse is being moved. So let's go ahead and add that in. Also need to rename that to shortcut or S or, whatever. Doesn't really matter. Update the position of the shortcut. And I don't remember exactly how this works. Does it have a frame field? I don't really know. Okay, it does have a frame field. So maybe we'll need to update that and then call its render method again. But what does it render to? Self.layer. Okay, I think I remember. I think desktop element handles all of this because the protocol um, allows the compositor to, ask it to redraw itself. But let me double check because I really don't remember. Desktop element, drawable rex. Yeah, get slice. Okay, awesome. So let's go ahead and do that. Shortcut. Let's close that for now. I guess we can make frame public. Oh, you know what? It's got to be a ref cell because we don't have a mutable reference. And let's add a setter just for convenience while we're here. Okay, I think that'll be fine. Shortcut set frame. That needs to be public. Okay, IntelliSense is lagging behind a bit. I don't know if JetBrains calls it IntelliSense. I apologize if that's disrespectful. Um, and what do we want the frame to be? We actually want it to be the current frame plus the delta of how the mouse is moved. And thankfully we have that relative shift. And it looks like I've done, something really similar above. Um, let's see. Performing window drag. Oh, right, replace origin. So the current origin plus this relative shift. Let's go ahead and just copy this. It seems like sensible. Based on the mouse movement. Go ahead and set the frame. Ask the shortcut to render itself again. Although I'm not sure it really needs to render itself again. Oh, you know what? It does because the background is going to be different in its new location. But let's leave that in because I think it'll be a fun bug that'll kind of demonstrate what's going on. So to do re-render the shortcut as well as resetting its copy of the background slice, background layer. And we'll leave it out for now. Then we'll also need to ask the compositor to re-render the shortcut so that we see all the new pixels pushed to the display. And we also want to re-render whatever was underneath, wherever the shortcut was previously. So the whole kind of updated rectangle gets pushed to the display. Otherwise, you would see like a trailing effect because the old pixels wouldn't be cleaned up. So I have the same idea here, update rect, it's the old frame with a union with a new frame, and then we ask the compositor to just deal with all of it. So we'll do the same thing down here. Handle mouse scrolled, nothing to do. All right, that might be it. Now I just want to double check. I don't actually remember. No, we are transitioning to mouse drags because we did it somewhere over here. Shortcut drag, ending, and then somewhere we should have been able to enter. Did we enter? I remember talking about entering. Here we go. Transition shortcut drag. All right, I think let's give it a shot and just see how it goes. Cool. We've got some errors. Let's deal with those. Just silly stuff, I think. Oh, I see. I see why we needed that. Okay. Hmm. Yeah, because we want to tell the new shortcut that the mouse has entered it, even if the old state was not a shortcut hover. So that's a bit embarrassing. I think we need to put that back in. Until mouse entered. Now, was there any other change we had to make here? Um, because what are we in? Transition to mouse interaction state. Okay. Yeah, so we need to get rid of that. Handle mouse entered because the enter is handled down here. And then let's also add just a little bit of handling, um, just logging when we enter the shortcut drag state. Give that a try. Let's go clean up these other couple of errors. Okay, just silly stuff. Forgot to access the field here, which might need to be made public. Yeah, it does. Oh, it is public. Okay, great. And one call site we forgot to update. somewhere. Might have been that new code I was just adding. No, it's not. Okay, so here again, if we're transitioning into either of these two states, then we've definitely transitioned out of a window. And we can send the mouse exited event to the window. All right, that looks good. Okay, so we're trying to reassign it here. Handle left click ended. So why are we able to do it here? I mean, we can just rearrange this. That seems fine. Wrong file. Okay, fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Okay. I think let's throw this in a ref cell and keep that as an immutable reference. Not great that that's public, but I'm getting a bit antsy to show some results of all the work we've been doing. And if necessary, I'll just go and clean it up after I finish recording this video, which maybe is not in the spirit of live coding. I really don't know what I'm doing. But this has been a fun experience nonetheless. Let's give it a try. All right, one error. Sure, yeah. I meant to go update that. See how that goes. Nearly there, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure that'll fix this, but let's give it a try. No. Actually, that might be fine. Maybe let's clone it before calling this. You know what? We can just set the mouse interaction state before calling into the compositor. That's no problem at all. See how that works? Oof, really doesn't like this. Maybe we can dispatch the event before reassigning. So let's just try that as a quick fix. Yeah, so why isn't, oh no, window hover, that's less than left click ended. Mm. Maybe it is reasonable to not send the left click ended event, because it's not really left click. It's instead like a different event, like a drag ended. And clearly I'll have to solve this, but maybe I won't do it right now. But I do think the solution will just be rearranging it, so I dispatch that event before having this match that reassigns the mouse interaction state, among other things. Like, all right, so I really don't know how visible the effects of what we've done are going to be. It's going to depend on if we've done an all right job so far. Of course, it's a bit more difficult to do, the normal programming flow when I know I'm kind of on camera and could be uploading this somewhere. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. So things are quite slow, I assume, due to the screen recording. Let's just go ahead and try dragging one of these. Ah, cool. All right, it kind of works. Awesome. Yeah, of course, we've got some work to do here, but we've got a little prototype that we can work on further. Yeah, so one bug I was mentioning is that each of these shortcuts stores some state as to what the desktop background looks like behind it. But you can see since I didn't kind of do what I said I should do, it just stays blue. It doesn't kind of update with this gradient. So you can see that. If I, let's do like a drastically different color over on the outsides. Yeah, that should do, even though it's very ugly. So if I drag one of these, which will take me just a minute because clearly it's a bit cumbersome to drag at the moment, but we'll get it fixed. You can see it retains that hot pink rather than updating to have this gradient behind it. But I'll go ahead and fix that. Also, I think we maybe will need some kind of Z order because I would want this to come to the front when I drag it over another shortcut. Okay, I think that's probably a good place to leave it for the day. So yeah, if I ever upload this, thank you for tuning in and coming along for the ride, and I hope you enjoyed.